For me to have the opportunity to stand before us this morning. I'm also happy to be opportune. Sorry for those who will get jealous by my statement now, but please, that's not the intention. I'm also happy to be opportune to be one of the people who will speak in January, which is the first month of the year. Where sometimes it's easy for you to develop your message because everyone is in the mood of making resolutions of what to do for the year. So for those who are going to teach or preach for the coming months, I'm sorry they get this opportunity. All right. It's also a time that it's good to advise people, and I would say also a good time to advise yourself. But most times we humans are good at advising others and not necessarily ourselves. So I'm going to say this: whatever I say here today, I'm not speaking to us. I'm also speaking to myself. And the message is a very, very simple one. Trust me, you've had this before. You've had this message several times. There is nothing new I am coming to say here, except a couple words that I will use in a different language and they sound new to some people. But every other thing is the same. But in January, as I've said already, that it's a time when people, make resolutions, people reflect on the last year, people plan what they are going to do this coming year, even though when we kind of take stock at the middle or towards the end of the year, we most times find out that we maybe didn't achieve 50% or even 25% of the things that we outlined that we are going to do last year. I'm not coming here, and I don't have any rights to come here to tell you what your New Year resolution should be. We are on the same journey, but people are on different places or different positions in their life in that journey that we are all taking. So I would be in a good position to tell you this is what you must do this year. In fact, I'm actually going to tell you something in that line, but not necessarily for me to make plans for you for what you're going to do this year. But I want us to take some time to just reflect on some very simple things and some very simple aspects of us being humans. The topic is starting the year right, living with purpose and compassion. I've got two texts. I'll read them inside the message. Ecclesiastes 1 verse 2 and Matthew 25 verse 31 to 46. The message was inspired yesterday by a song I stumbled into. For the past few months now, I've been listening to a lot of South African songs because for those who know African music, the South Africans are very good at singing, vocal, with their voices. So I've been listening to a lot of those songs, and I've got something like a playlist where one song plays after the other. Interestingly, this song was in that playlist, and it has nothing to do with every other song that is there. And this is a song that I've listened to, that I know I've listened to. I first did know of that song about 4 years ago. The song actually is a Ghanaian song, and it was sung not in English, in the Akan or Twi language. I got to know about that song when I was in Coventry with the brethren there who were predominantly Ghanaian, and the song stuck. It's a very beautifully sung song. But also, I didn't understand any word they were saying. I had to do a quick Google yesterday, and I had to also employ ChatGPT to help me translate actually what that song means. And he did a good job because, after I did several checks. But when that song, stumbling into that song, reminded me of, again, another story which I kind of stumbled into while watching TV a few weeks ago with my wife. And I'm going to tell that story first. So, it was a television show. You may know it. I don't know the name. Like I said, I stumbled into it, where a team of builders go to kind of revamp people's homes for different purposes. This particular story was about a couple who had their home, redesigned by that team, and the purpose was to make it accessible for their disabled son, who had recently been discharged from a care facility. All right, so that was the reason for that building redesign. But my interest is not about the building. My interest is about the son or the young man that redesign was being done for. He was a young man who was once full of life. He was strong. He was a very cheerful young man. Unfortunately, he had this world turned upside down after a single tragic event. All right, so he went out on a thing on a, I can't remember the actual thing, maybe it was a date or something, but he went out and then he got into an argument with a football fan, and we know how notorious we football fans can be. He got into an argument with a football fan which turned violent, and he ended up receiving a blow which changed his life completely. It turned his life upside down and changed his life forever. So he kind of lost his ability to do many things. He lost his ability to walk, which was one of them. He lost his ability to move most of his limbs, and even some other parts of the body, which sometimes maybe someone like me I would take for granted. But this was, like I said, a young man who was very, very much full of life before that incident. And in an instant, his life was completely changed. Ecclesiastes 1 verse 2 says, "Vanity of vanities, all is vanity." That is this young man's life, which he had maybe plans. He was working, he was doing well in life. He had plans maybe of where to go to or things to do. All changed in an instant, and he had to be cared for by other people. Now, but there's another aspect of this story. Yet, despite the pain and suffering, his parents chose to love and care for him. His parents were older. Despite the pain it would take them, he could have been in that care facility, but they chose to love and care for him. They sacrificed their time, resources, and comfort to bring him home and make him have a better life. The discharge from the facility was only, and that was emphasized in the video, was only because the parents wanted to take care of him themselves. So they sacrificed their own pleasures to take care of their son, whose life was unfortunately changed due to one tragic event. It reminded me of one side, compassion, and then the other side, reflecting about what is this life really. The truth is, this life is fleeting. There's nothing guaranteed. I remember a few weeks ago when I was doing the teaching, and Eric said something, and no one knows what's going to happen next. The next second, what? I am standing here now, maybe talking. I don't know what's going to happen the next second. We had a situation in my local church, back home, where a young man again who was very much full of life during the Sunday service, during the teaching, he stood up to ask questions or to make a contribution, something like that. I wasn't there, but he stood up to ask questions, and and that was just like a normal part of the church, aspect of the church. The next minute, he was on the floor, just like that, in the church. And unfortunately, within that same way, he was gone. And that's what life is. Alright? Nothing is guaranteed. I'm not sure he even got the answer to the question he wanted to ask. The next minute, everything changed. What truly matters is not the material things we chase. Now, bringing us to the other side now of this message, was how we love and serve one another while we still can. The second story is from that music video I talked about. I paused for a Ghanaian song, and the Ghanaians who are here, please forgive me because I'm about to murder your language, the Akan language. I'll try. The title of the song says Yewo Nyame Yewo Ate, so something like that. But I know maybe the Ghanaians who are here maybe may understand it, or maybe they wait to give me a punch when I come down from here later. But the title of the song was, in line of if we have God, we have everything. But it's not about the title; it's about the music video. Now, this is a fictional thing. I'm not sure if that video was shot from a true life story. But this is also about a man who was doing very well in life, and he. The video showed him, in his house with his wife, and he came out of the house, entered his car, in a fenced compound, and he was going to work. He went to work and then came back. As he came out from the car, he had something in line, possibly a heart attack or a stroke. He fell down, and the next moment they showed him again. He was in a wheelchair. So, still similar situation where someone was full of life, the life changed suddenly. He was in a wheelchair. But there is a difference in the way that, in the treatment of this man compared to the first, compared to the young man that we talked about before. The story depicted the wife as a stay-at-home wife, and then this man doing very well in life, maybe was providing for the family. But this event changed him completely. Then he became someone who was wheelchair ridden. And the video showed that his wife treated him with rejection and cruelty, even in that very vulnerable state. Now, it showed several instances of that, and then at some point the man was overwhelmed with despair and he decided to take his own life. So he had some drugs which he wanted to use to overdose himself, and in the process of trying to do that, the drugs just fell off from his hands and he fell down. And maybe it came as a sign to him that he shouldn't do that, and then he started praying and crying out to God. Eventually, he got strength in his limbs to get up, and his story changed again. Now, my emphasis bringing this story is not about the fact that he was able to stand again, because, like I said, that story was fictional. In real life, 99.9% of the time, that may not happen. Alright, that person will remain in that situation or in that condition. Except maybe, after some time we get healed or God decides to perform a miracle. But I didn't bring this story for us to expect a miracle in every past situation that we find ourselves. Because the truth is, it will most likely not happen, except God decides for it to happen. But the reason why I brought this story is about how that man was treated by his wife. This man was the provider before now. This man was the one. The video initially showed that his wife, they were living good. He was cherished. Maybe it wasn't it wasn't himself that was cherished. Maybe it was what he represented, or it was his possession that was cherished. Maybe it was his personality that was cherished, and not the human being himself that was cherished, that prompted his wife to treat him very, very cruelly. It could also be that it may not even be any of these. That this is how his wife was able to react to the situation that she found herself. Right? We cannot know what people's reaction would be until we are truly tested. Right? No one knows. It's good. Talk is cheap. Alright, talk is cheap. Even me standing here, it's easy for me to say, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to tell you this is what you need to do. But when people face several situations, they may react. They may react in ways that you would not expect. But I'm bringing this back now to us as Christians. There are two key lessons that, for me, I derive from these two stories, which one of them I have already said something about. One of them is that life is fragile. This life that we live is very fragile. So, in 2025, we should live with purpose. I'm sorry, brother, I don't know, there's someone on Zoom whose speaker is on. Could you please? Alright. So, this life is fragile. This life is short. This life is uncertain. Now, in outside the world, once people say this first part of this sentence, the next part is, go enjoy your life. That's not the intention here. Life is short, life is fragile. As Christians, we should live with purpose. Ecclesiastes chapter 9 verse 10 says, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. For in the realm of the dead, where you are going, where I am going, there is neither walking, nor planning, nor knowledge, nor wisdom. Alright? That in the next minute, when we do not know what would be the outcome of our life, we don't know. We don't know if we will be here. We don't know if we will be here the same way we were the previous moment. So, whatever you have to do it now. In 2025, we should not procrastinate that I'm going to do good tomorrow. If you have the opportunity to do good, do it today. Let us live lives worthy of God. Let us live lives that have meaning. In 2025, if you are going to worship God wholeheartedly. Don't say we are going to do it tomorrow. Let us worship God wholeheartedly today. If in 2024 or in the previous years you've not been spending time with family, and you say that at a good time in your life you are going to do that, the message today is spend time with family today. The message is prioritize the things that you need to do, that thing that you know that is good. That do it today, because you don't know what is going to happen the next moment. If you are walking, you should walk diligently today. If you have dreams and plans, pursue those dreams today. Because no one is sure of tomorrow. No one is sure of the next minute. If you need to do good while you have the opportunity, today, and not in June of this year, because we do not know where we will be. The second part, or the second lesson from this, which is obvious from what from the stories that have been shared, treat others as we would treat Christ. Do good to others while you can. Treat others as you would treat Christ. In Matthew 25, verse 31 to 46. So I said before when I started that the message today is a very simple one. We are going back to the basics. I'm not coming here to tell you to wear a cloth of perfection, but we are going back to the basics. In Matthew 25, if we read 31 to 46, I'm not going to read the entire verses. Jesus speaks about the final judgment. He separates the sheep from the goats and says, "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." When we ask, "Lord, when did we see you hungry, or thirsty, or sick?" He responds, "Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." I was speaking to some of my students on Friday after the lesson. We just stayed back and we were discussing. There's a billionaire in Nigeria. It's a billionaire in Nigeria who is, whose mom died recently, and someone from nowhere decided to do a fundraising for him to bury his mom, and a list was published. Now I don't know if that was a social media prank or something, but a list was published with more than 500 names that donated money into that account. And they were not small sums of money in Nigerian naira. Converted to pounds, they may not be much, but they were not small sums of money in Nigerian naira. And I was thinking, there are some people who gave, maybe, it's not a direct equivalent, but I'm just using it as an instance. There are some people who gave 100 pounds. There are some people who gave, say 20,000 pounds. So a billionaire. And then I read the comments after that. Some people were saying that I need to make money so that I will be in this list. Alright? What is this? Alright? I need to hustle, I need to work hard so I will be in a list like this. But every one of those people that donated money because they wanted their name to be in that list, or maybe because they know this guy is a billionaire and an influential person, maybe they will gain one favor or the other from him. You are donating money to someone who already has, whereby you have very least among you who have nothing. And sometimes we do not even remember them. Sometimes we despise them. Sometimes we treat them badly. That we want as humans, we always want to be recognized with those who are influential. And we don't want to recognize those who are who do not have. Most times, even in these days of social media, people go to do charity to those who do not have, and then put the camera before them so that for the world to see that this is what they are doing. But Christ is saying that I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me. Not with cameras, not for the world to give us glory, not for the world to praise us, but not even for you to get any reward from it, but because you recognize that this person needs your help, and you are in the position, you have the opportunity to help that person. The parents who cared for their disabled son embody the love of Christ. Because they have nothing to gain, they have nothing physical to gain from taking their son, that they want their son to have the best that they can be able to give to them. They weren't rich, but they wanted to take that pain. They wanted to share in their son's sorrow and suffering, and wanted to do their best to give their son the best of the opportunity that he can have. The builders worked tirelessly to create a space where this young man could thrive. The builders clearly were not Christians. They came voluntarily to work to make sure that that young man has the best that he could have. It shows that collectively, as a congregation here, we do it, with the food bank and a lot of charity work that we do. We can make a change in the lives of individuals. We can make a change in the life in our community, and we should not relent. We should not relent to do it. We can transform the lives of people. Now, the other side of it, in the other story of the man in the song, it reminds us that we should treat people with compassion. If you see someone who is on a wheelchair, there's no guarantee that person was on the wheelchair yesterday. But even if that person was on the wheelchair yesterday, even if that person was on a wheelchair from birth, that doesn't make that person less of a human than yourself. That we should look down on them. That if you see someone who finds himself in one form of misfortune or the other, it doesn't give you the right for you to look down on those people. Rather, we should have compassion, we should have the spirit of empathy. We should have the spirit of not judging people. Interestingly, there is a movement, among a lot of young men today. If you go to politics, maybe you say the far right. And I spoke with a student during one of our tutorial sessions in college. And the tutorial session was about politics, and we were discussing about some political figures. And then I said that this person that you take as that he's the best person to rule the world. Maybe is there something about people that have disabilities that they shouldn't really exist? And I asked the student a question. Do you understand what that means? That someone has no empathy for someone who is, find themselves in one form of misfortune or the other. And the student told me to my face that, he thinks people with disability should be put in a secret place in this world. And I'm like, what? Are you for real? He said, yeah, that he thinks that we spend a lot of money as a people, that we should work with people who are more able. And then I asked him the question, how are you sure what your life will be tomorrow? Alright? How am I sure? Again, I bring it back to myself. How am I sure that while standing here, that I'm going to walk back the same way I came here? There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee. I am as a person very clumsy when I move, and when I try to move my hand around things. It's possible for me to hit this and fall. It may be a small fall. It may be a great fall. No one knows. We should be compassionate. And we should not be compassionate because we can be in the same situation. No, because if we embody what Christ represents, we should be compassionate. In conclusion, as we begin this new year, let us reflect on these two stories and the lessons from the scripture. Our life is a vapor. It is here today and gone tomorrow. What matters is not how much we accumulate, but how much we love, how much we give, and how much we reflect Christ in our actions. May God continue to be with us as we continue to carry on in this journey, so that we will be good people in words and in deeds. In Jesus' name, amen.